are back. Week 6 in the books. On to week 7. Well, I don't think there's that many injuries this time, right? It seems fewer.
Not a lot of like season-ending IR stuff, concussions, and maybe out a week or two, and stuff like that. But thankfully, not a whole lot of super serious injuries, unless you're Aiden Hutchinson, and that didn't look good.
Yeah, they called him done. It was a patella fracture.
Yeah.
Man, it's one of those like
No,
you're worried about your career, not just this year.
Yeah, it's just brutal, man. There's some things like that I prefer they not show us on TV.
Yeah.
But, it's they can't really protect themselves, and it's hard when you have to talk about it that you need something that's substantial, right?
Yeah.
So, fortunately, that's just how that works. Well, good news. Only 2 teams on bye this week. The Bears and the Cowboys. And you probably weren't starting a Cowboy, so it didn't really matter. Kind of, they have lost their way. I'm hoping this bye week has come at a time that will benefit them greatly. And the Bears seem to be finding their stride. So I think both teams are going to come back better, hopefully. I trust the Bears a little more because their record after the bye looks super juicy.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like if you're the Bears, you kind of don't want to go on a bye right now, and you're the Cowboys, you can't wait for it. It's like two opposite sides there. But last year Cowboys like almost exactly. I think it was week 5 last year. They had their bye. They're like, what's going on? CeeDee Lamb, but he's kind of a bust. And then they came out of that bye, and then the rest is history. And Lamb put up one of the best receiving wide receiver seasons we've ever seen. So hopefully that happens again this year. Well, I don't know. They just can't run the ball. That's a big thing. It really limits their offense, I think.
I mean, you say that, but Dowdle went 5 for 25 yards. That's 5 yards carry, baby.
Yeah. I know. It's true. It's true.
Well, yeah, when you're chasing points literally every possession of the game, it's not a good recipe to get the running game going.
No.
Yeah, you usually want to start running and then go to the passing game, but they're doing it backwards. It's fine.
Stop putting Zeke out there. Jeez.
Also true.
So bad.
Well, they at least got away from Deuce Vaughn. All right. Yeah. Anyway, that's done. We're done talking about week 6. On to week 7. We're looking forward. Well, outside of tonight, we still have 1 game left, but we are looking forward. And with that, we're going to start with quarterbacks like we always do. And go and bring up your guy, Mike. Drake May, 4.9% rostered. Currently, QB9 on the week. Next week, gets to play the Jaguars, who are an ideal matchup for quarterbacks, let's say. So far, they have played 6 quarterbacks, given up only 1 week. Well, no, that's not even true. All quarterbacks have been in the top 12.
Wow.
Yeah, right now the Jaguars are allowing the most points per game to quarterbacks. So there you go.
2 QB1 weeks this past week with Caleb Williams and Josh Allen. Even Deshaun Watson was a top 12 quarterback against Jaguars.
No, that's bad. Yeah. By the way, Texans were pretty good. I think May had like one of the best games against the Texans this year for quarterbacks. So
threw for 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, which you kind of expect with him being a rookie. He was also the team's leading rusher with 5 carries for 38 yards.
And by the way, that's not a fluke. This guy ran for 700 yards in college 1 year. So and they count sacks as minus rushing yards, so that's including all the sacks he took. I don't know how many he took exactly, but the dude, rushing for over 700 yards in college is legit. So it's not just some kind of fluke. Like the guy's athletic.
I will say it may more just be a 1 week fill-in. If you've been, I don't know if you're still starting Dak at this point, depending on what else you have, or if you're really starting Caleb Williams at this point. But
or you have been switching out with Tua. I mean,
to get the rotation going.
Whoever.
But you mentioned the Jags next week for Drake May, who are number 1. Immediately after that, though, they have the Jets, who are currently the complete opposite. They allow the least fantasy points per game to quarterbacks in the league. And then Tennessee, who you'd think would be an ideal matchup, but they're so bad against the run that really the QBs aren't doing much. They're 14.8 points per game is 23rd. So he's got one extremely good matchup and then 2 really bad ones right after. So it may just be a temporary solution.
Yeah. Well, I only care about this week. That's how that works.
Yeah, exactly. It's streaming. Yeah.
I need to win 1 week. This is my week. I'm rolling out Drake May. The other option is a little more gross because it's Andy Dalton, 8.1% rostered, but he gets to play Commanders. Defense has actually looked a lot better. But again, 4 of the 6 quarterbacks that they face had QB1 weeks, putting up 18.6 fantasy points on average, which minus weeks 2, 5, and 6 would have been QB9 on average. So pretty decent. And then since Dalton took over, 24.6 fantasy points, 16.7 fantasy points, had that down week where 4.7, and then this week 16.9. So he's getting you a decent number. He won't tank your team, thankfully, outside of that one bad week. But I think this is a benefit. So good matchup for him. Commanders seem to be rolling, so they're going to put up points. Dalton likes to chase and isn't afraid to throw it still. So until that changes, okay, using him as a streamer.
Yeah, definitely. Caleb Williams, they are on a bye. This is not for next week, but this is for if you're looking ahead.
Like
you want to kind of beat.
Weeks.
Yeah, you want to beat the waiver wire. Everyone's saying, well, they had an easy schedule. Well, guess what? They get the Commanders and Cardinals coming out of their bye for 2 weeks after that. So I'm definitely comfortable starting Caleb, who, by the way, is QB 10, I believe, on the year. In 3 of the last 4 weeks, over 19 points and 4 point per passing touchdown is really good. He can run. That's not a fluke either. Like it's not gonna be a part of the game plan maybe, but if he sees that lane open up, he's definitely gonna take it. It's just him progressing as a quarterback, right? Like seeing that and being like, hey, I'm just gonna take these 10 yards, that they're giving me, instead of trying to chuck it downfield or something. So like Caleb, he's still under that 50%. Jared Goff, I was surprised a little bit to be under 50%. I know he wasn't great the first few weeks and then on a bye. But, Jared Goff is, I think he has back-to-back 25-point weeks. There's a bye in the middle of those, but, that's probably going to continue. This is kind of a little bit more, maybe not quite this good, but this is a little bit more what we expected. Now, he does get the Vikings, which is a tough matchup, for quarterbacks, but I think the Lions are one of those offenses that can overcome that a little bit. And, Aiden Hutchinson being out actually might help the fantasy guys because, their defense is going to take a big hit. He was one of the best. He was their best defender and one of the best in the NFL. And I'm a little bit worried about what their pass rush is going to look like. So that could only help for fantasy, unfortunately. And then, Tua, if you're in deeper leagues or something, he's floating out there. I don't know when he's going to be back. We don't know yet. Maybe it'll be a couple more weeks, but we know what Tua is capable of when he's healthy and out there with all his weapons.
Yeah. Great stashes. And of course, if Goff's available, I absolutely love him just because of all of his weapons. Even this week, he was hyper efficient and still, like you said, put up a lot of points. So good streaming options out there, plenty of options. And so easy to find somebody to play this week. They're not always ideal or have some nicks and bruises that you've seen along the way, but definitely options, even if you're just frustrated with who you have. So, all right. Add a quarterback into running backs. James Cook is out tonight. Going to start off with this. Who are you playing for in replacement of James Cook? Because that was a big question on the Fantasy Life app today. So,
yeah, I think it's going to be Ray Davis.
Can I go with nobody? Can I go with no one?
Yeah, who am I playing? No one. Who would I pick up? Or if I had to play, it would be Ray Davis.
This is also why you put your Monday players in flex spots.
Yes, absolutely. And I know I picked up Ray Davis just because I think, we know what Ty Johnson is and his role. I don't think it's going to be any upside whatsoever. He could be the highest scorer, but I don't think that's going to be much. And I think the more upside is with the rookie Ray Davis, who I think could carry, he could be a workhorse if they needed him to be, if they want him to be. So how good is he going to be? We don't know. We haven't seen him yet. I liked him coming out of college, a little bit. So at a Kentucky there. So he'd be the one. And, I dropped Jordan Whittington. I didn't love it, but I dropped him and picked up Ray Davis just to see. I just think the upside is a little bit more like, what if he just hits? Everyone's going to be wanting to grab him. So I don't mind if you have that space to pick him up.
Yeah. So PPR, I was going Ty Johnson. If it was standard, I'm assuming that more than likely he's going to be the one who gets that goal line work. So I went with Davis for standard. And so that I kind of cheated because I was like, Davis could be something, but Jets have been really strong up front. And sure. I would expect the beneficiary to be Johnson because of the fact that they have to move the ball and third downs are going to be pretty frequent. So I expect Johnson to be out there for those while Davis is more than likely riding the pine. But
yeah,
what we should have done is when we saw that Cook was having any issues, gone and got Tyrone Tracy. 44.9% roster. We're almost there, guys. With the uncertainty of Singletary last week, he looked amazing. And I don't think that's going to change. I think he has solidified a role. Ideally, as a passing down guy, because guess what? You've said it more than once. Converted wide receiver. So I love that for him. I think that should be a role that he definitely carves out and should be a big part of in this offense and just looks so explosive in comparison to Singletary. And then a name I think you touched on maybe last week or a couple weeks ago with Kamani Vidal, 6.7% rostered.
My man.
Gus Edwards was put on IR very quietly Sunday morning, and then Vidal clearly comes back and only week 13.1 fantasy points. Granted, it was boosted by a big catch and run for a touchdown, but he looked good. I was impressed. I liked what I saw, but it's also the health of Dobbins. That's the other side of that coin that you're looking at. So makes it a little riskier, but if you're looking for potential stashes, these are the two that I'm definitely looking at, especially with Tracy. I think there's so much upside there.
Yeah. Vidal, he played 19 snaps to Dobbins dominated the workload, which was probably to be expected, but he's not the picture of good health, right? Like we know Dobbins, and I'm a little bit worried about him getting 25 touches. How long
in any game
last? Yeah, so he's definitely. I think the next up, Hassan Haskins is also there, but I think there's more upside with Vidal for sure. Take Bigsby. We keep bringing him up, and this is your chance to get him. Although, didn't he get some kind of injury, or it was kind of a weird how they were using him? I know ETN is week to week, and then I thought Tank got a little beat up too. Didn't really
Tank
do much.
Dealing with a bigger injury. He's now dealing with a hamstring that puts him as week to week. And he already had the shoulder. So
yeah, he had the shoulder and he's got the hamstring. We already know that Etienne is dealing with the hamstring, and he missed basically the entire second half of that game for Jacksonville. And even when Bigsby was healthy and playing, they were mixing in Dearness Johnson a lot. And
he had all the high value touches.
Right. Especially because Bigsby is their punt returner and kick returner too. So they use him on special teams. They use him for a variety of things. And then he fumbled the ball a couple of times. So that also cost him some touches. But yeah, I've been holding on to Dearness Johnson in Dynasty for 3 years now, because I just know eventually he gets his shot every year. And it may be about that time. That's got to be a home run swing at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. We've seen him put up good games before, Dearness Johnson. It's a lot of times it just you need the touches. So Isaac Garendo, if you remember all the way back to Thursday, Jordan Mason got beat up. Have we heard anything about him? But Garendo seemed to be the next. They'll probably work in Patrick Taylor as well. They might even sign someone if Mason's seriously hurt, because we know McCaffrey's going to be still a few more weeks. So Grendo's the rookie. He had that big run where he slid, and I don't think anyone was starting him. So luckily, no one got hurt by that. But
Mason,
Jordan Mason,
it's an
had a
AC
limited
joint
practice
sprain.
Yeah,
they said it's not severe, but like if it's one of those things where if it was a playoff game, he probably would have gone back in. But he went in for the one snap in the third quarter, wasn't feeling it, and they sat him the rest of the game.
And I'm pretty sure he's in a non-contact today.
Yeah.
So, not that means a whole lot. It's a Monday. They're just warming back up from being off a week. So,
yeah. Ty Chandler, we talked about with Aaron Jones having that hip injury. Now, I did read that Jones was out there doing some stuff on Monday. So I don't know exactly what they're doing on Monday, more, just walkthroughs and things like that. Yeah. But he's out there. We'll see, monitor that. But because they are playing the Lions, so it's going to be tough to want to start him. But, who knows how long. We've been fooled by these injuries before, right? Where it's like, oh, they're okay. Like, that's why I'm picking up Ray Davis. It's like, it seemed like Cook was going to play. We've seen that before. And then they missed 3 weeks, like Mixon, finally came back, but it was like, wow, we didn't expect him to miss 3 weeks. So, stuff like that, you just never know. And then other backups here, Trey Benson started to get a little bit more work. Maybe they're working him in, the rookies usually take a month and a half, start to get going. So he's there. Braylon Allen, if he's still out there, don't think he is, but for a lot of people, he's not. I guess he's 35%, 36%. So he might be out there for you. Jalen Wright, you don't forget that Achane got the concussion and before they had their bye. We've seen Malik Neighbors miss 2 weeks with a concussion. We just don't know especially the Dolphins, and concussions.
Same thing. Achane was in a non-contact jersey today. So
yeah. Yeah, so Jalen Wright, with Mostert will be the next kind of two up potentially. I know Jeff Wilson's still there, but he's been hurt. Tyler Algier is like becoming someone you can start. Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
Again,
yes.
I don't think it's going away. Like, I really don't, unfortunately. Like, I think they're just going to continue to use him at about 35 to 40% of the snaps, and I think last week is a little bit Carolina.
Rookie.
You can run all over them, but
yeah,
he still could be flex worthy in these big bye weeks coming up.
For sure. I guess that's a name we should have touched on though. Davis, Ty Johnson, Braylon Allen, since he's available. Who would you rather play of those three for tonight?
Probably Braylon Allen. Yeah, I mean, actually, I think I'd take a chance on just like Ray Davis. It depends on what I need. If I need just like, all right, I just need like 5 points, then I'm going to go Braylon Allen because I think he can get that. But I think Ray Davis, you never know. Like if you need like 50, anything more than like 7 points or something, you might as well just go with him and see if he gets, majority of the carries. Yeah, in the end zone. Exactly.
Really what you're hoping for with Davis, I think, tonight. So,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, love that Steve touched on Dearness because that was a note that I had too, and I was like, man, who knows? That really just threw everybody for a loop because everybody saw Etienne go out, and sure enough, here comes Dearness just plopping onto the field and doing his thing. So,
just to finish up a couple of notes. In that Jaguars game, Dearness Johnson had 56% of the offensive snaps. Etienne ended up only playing 18%. Tank Bigsby played 27%. So he played a majority of that game. A lot of pass protection because they were chasing points a majority of that second half. But one I thought that was interesting is with Rashad White missing yesterday. It was
Sean Tucker.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the Bucky Irving show, and all of a sudden, Sean Tucker comes back from the dead and has 38% of the offensive snaps and a monster game. Is that something you want to keep on the radar?
Oh, for sure.
Definitely keep on the radar. A lot of those, I think like 12 of his 14 touches came in like the fourth quarter when that game was out of hand. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on it because like they were using, we were talking about Bucky being potentially flex worthy when Rashad White was there. If Rashad White's going to miss time, they might use both these guys, and that's how they want to do it. I kind of liked Sean Tucker coming out of college. He had like a heart issue going into like the combine and draft, and that's why he went undrafted and then just didn't really get his chance last year. But I think it's definitely something to keep an eye on and for deeper leagues.
It was the same 60-40 split they usually go with. It was just Bucky got the 60% and Tucker ended up at the 40. But I mean, 14 carries for 100 and whatever, 32 yards.
Yeah, that's crazy.
My good. And then he had 3 catches for 56 yards on top of it. Like he had a monster game. It was crazy.
Yeah, and for sure. I don't know if you guys watched his workout videos from the summer, but also looked like he put in a lot of work this past year. So glad it could pay off.
We never got an official, because again, he had like the heart issue stuff, and I think he runs like a low 4.3s. Like he's super fast, and he's a bigger back. He's not big, but he's not small. Like he's kind of a 205, 210, but he runs like a 4.33 or low 4.3s, I think. So yeah, he's definitely interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, out of running backs into wide receivers. Again, Josh Downs, 48.6% rostered, is better with Flacco.
They all
are. It's just amazing. I'm really hoping that Anthony Richardson has taken the time holding the clipboard to see how this offense is supposed to move, how it functions, and the fact that he could add something with his legs. Like, it should just be a better offense. I hope.
Yeah.
If it's not, though. Downs makes me nervous, but he's still leading everybody in his looks and how he's being used. I watched all of his targets. We're also nervous about if Richardson comes in, does Pittman actually go to IR because he doesn't want to play for Richardson and just run routes and potentially get hurt? Interesting to see, but since he's gotten back to even the 50-50 with Pittman, week 4, 22.2, week 5, 15.9, and this past week, 19.5 fantasy points. Continues to be top 15. And then the other one, Neil was right. Thought it was going to be Jalen Polk, but couldn't get it done. Didn't have the targets that I wanted him to. Wasn't deep enough. May doesn't have the arm, I guess. And it went to Demario Douglas, 14.1% rostered. Douglas was already a steady PPR player. And then this past week just really exploded. Week 3, 14.8. Week 4, 4.3. Week 5, 11.9. He was very consistent. And this past week with Drake May, 21.2. May has given a spark to this offense currently, and we'll see how it continues to roll, but kind of hard to put the genie back in the bottle at this point. Might as well just roll with it and hope for the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking about this. Like, it's very rare where there's a team and there's just no one in the pass catching department that you want. The Patriots are like that up until May was starting, and there has to be at least someone, right? I like Douglas. It was weird because Polk was playing, like, he was out there 100% of the snaps, and then he played 65%.
Yeah.
This last game, and Keyshawn Boutte started.
I don't get it, man. I don't understand what changed.
I don't know either. So, yeah, a little disappointing for Polk, but you never know. You never know with rookie receivers. So, Romeo Doubs been throwing it out there all the time. He's a guy that, like, during bye weeks, and I'm desperate, I'm always going to be comfortable starting him because he runs more routes than any other Packers receiver, including Jaden Reed. Like, he's out there all the time. He's on a good offense. He's going to have games like these. He just is. Like, is there upside?
Wheel game. It finally happened.
It's the squeaky wheel game. Exactly.
Like 5 targets.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And like, is this going to be 2 touchdowns all the time? Is there big upside? Probably not. But, like, you're on a good offense and you're running the most routes and you're out there, 85% of the time, you're going to have games, So I still think he should be rostered, and you can potentially start him during bye weeks. Jalen Tolbert's getting some looks here, and we know Brandon Cook's going to miss a couple more games. So Tolbert really was the only Cowboy to do. I mean, I think Lamb did okay, but 4 for 43. It can get worse in a bad game, right, for Dak. So I think Tolbert could be a start. Juju, I was surprised, is only still under 20% because
coming off the
wire
bye.
ran, right?
Yeah, it's because of the bye, though.
Yeah. You're right. It's Steve talked about it, and then he hit, and he's gonna be like a poor man's Rashee Rice. Like, he's not gonna be as good as Rashee Rice, although he did have 130 yards. But he's gonna get 7-8 targets every game, and he's gonna have a pretty safe floor, in my opinion. For Juju, Alan Lazard, still out there. What is he? Isn't he like a top 20 receiver or something? Like, it's like at some point, again, like we just kind of have to believe it. He's wide receiver 21. So obviously they haven't played this week, but he has 4 weeks that you'd be like, all right, I got by, 4 double-digit weeks out of 5 games. So, and then the Rams guys, Whittington, Atwell, we still don't know. Is Cooper Kupp going to be back? Sounds like he might be, but Puka's still going to miss time. So, if I had to lean, I'd probably choose Whittington, but Atwell, I think, could be decent as well.
Yeah, it's again interesting. The Lazard thing is just, I'm very curious with the firing of Saleh, how that affects the offense. So that's like the one thing kind of holding me back from Lazard, but I still think it's Aaron Rodgers' friend.
Yep.
He's been with him for a while and continues to pop up. Then, of course, like Whittington again, if Kupp remains out, he was the one that keeps blowing my doors off. I like seeing how he plays. And of course, I'm personally shooting for Juju this week. I want him as my number one because he looked really good and the fact that he put up 100 yards is always impressive. So
yeah.
Now to everybody's favorite, tight end. Again, who knows? It was a better week for tight end. Does that give you any hope?
It was, right? We got a little bit of a resurgence there. Kittle and who else had a big game? Laporta had that one catch. Touchdown. Yeah, Andrews, Laporta with his one target, had a one touchdown. Catch. Yeah. Bowers is always going to be good. So yeah, it was a little bit of a resurgence.
So again, going to bring it up. Rookie quarterbacks always seem to go to the tight end. With that in mind, Drake May just happened to choose DeMar Douglas, which is pretty much a tight end, in my opinion, because of how close he is to the line of scrimmage. But Spencer Rattler, both Johnson and Moreau went over 7 fantasy points, which I know that's not a whole lot, but
that's great in this economy.
This year for tight end, yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then a name that I'm watching because it kind of has been churning in the background, Tavian Sanders for Carolina has kind of been popping up, had a decent week this past week, and seems to be potentially making himself a tight end one for the Panthers. As values as that can be, who actually knows, but I'm watching it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Taysom Hill is someone I'm always going to recommend just because we know his upside. And honestly, Taysom Hill could be a smash play as long as Carr's out because they're going to rely on him a little bit more. They're going to feel safer with him in the red zone. They're probably going to give him more carries, a couple throws. So he's someone I'm still targeting. Hopefully he's back and healthy because he missed this last week, right, with an injury. So we always talk about, Steve always brings him up, K-Dot, and like it's kind of the Romeo Dobbs thing. Like he's literally out there all the time. And so he's going to have games like this where he catches a touchdown, right? Only 2 for 15, but he caught a touchdown. But he's pretty safe because he's out there all the time. So like you just look at the past 4 weeks, 7 for 47, 6 for 52, 3 for 44, 2 for 15, and a touchdown. Like that's as safe as it gets for the tight end position. And then Eric Hall, if you're in deeper leagues, just again, a rookie who's still not breaking through enough. Like he's getting around 40-45% of the snaps. Hopefully he can go up a little bit more and be something for the Bengals, but that's more of a long shot, deeper leagues.
Yeah. I mean, I'm rolling out Eric All because I keep seeing it, but Evans is also potentially beat up. So Kate Otten, I really liked. I think that's another good potential, depending on how serious Evans was hurt. He really looked like he was just playing decoy the second half of that game. So terrified me. All right. Add tight end and the defenses. Kind of touched on it earlier, but a team that's kind of surprised me for defense has been the Washington Commanders. 9.7% rostered. After just being horrible week 1, they've actually been pretty decent. It seems, I mean, in actual football, they've looked good. So them, after having that negative first week, they, against bad quarterbacks, have had a lot of success. I mean, they put up a 7 against Kyler Murray and then a 13 against Deshaun Watson. They even stayed positive against the Ravens and Bengals. So you saw Burrow and Jackson both. I mean, the fact they were able to stay positive in those games, which were both decent scoring games, is pretty impressive. And so should have the opportunity in a game where they face off against Dalton, who I would say is between those or below. I don't know. I would say he's better than Watson at this point, but who actually knows? So I think there's a lot of potential upside there. And so I really like the Commanders as somebody who is widely available for your team to pick up and stream.
Yeah. Checked and see if a defense like the Vikings got dropped, coming off the bye. It's always a possibility. They were the number 1 defense after 5 weeks in fantasy. Guys, other good defenses maybe that people haven't picked up on. I don't know, like the Broncos have a good defense. They're going to miss Surtain this week, which hurts. But, they do play the Saints. So both those teams, I think you could start this week, Saints or Broncos, could be pretty good. And then the Colts do play the Dolphins. So they're probably pretty widely available. And you're going to potentially get another week of Tyler Huntley or someone like that. And then maybe even the Rams, right? Playing the Raiders. Rams are definitely available because they're not a good defense and they coming off a bye. So, but they're playing the Raiders. You expect them to do something. And then the Giants are just a good defense at this point. We got to start giving them the respect. I know they play the Eagles, but you just kind of look at their schedule and they've been kind of shutting everyone out, Even they're the one team that made Jaden Daniels not look that good to start the year. Was it Jaden Daniels? The second game where Jaden Daniels looked, he looked mortal, right? So only 226 yards passing. And so, I think they have a good defense.
Well,
yeah, I got one more right at the threshold.
All right.
The Bills are just under 50% rostered, and they are playing the Titans, who are give up the number 1 most points so far this season to defenses. So there you go. If they're available in your league because they were scared off by the Jets tonight, then there you go.
That's another good one too. Yeah, because Levis,
should
have had probably 1 or 2 more picks yesterday, and just didn't happen. And I think the Bills can definitely make up for that, depending on who's healthy too. So that'll be interesting to see. All right. Well, think we call that a waiver show. Hope everybody this game. I hope you get to enjoy this game. We'll see. I'm curious to see if it's anything more than just a slugfest. I think the over-under was 41. I don't think that's happening.
Think it's going to go way under, huh?
think the 41.5 is not going to be hitting. I'm going to put it at under 30 if it's me, but
under 30
defense. Yeah. It's a good defense.
Yeah.
Your best bet is both defenses score, honestly. Because that's the one hope I can really see for the Jets. And then unless just Aaron Rodgers and Hackett just go ham, which they very well could. I can't believe it till I see it. So
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get out of here. Let everybody go enjoy the game. Thank you all for watching. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And if you need trade help, all that good stuff, we have the Discord. It's a great option. We're always out there. Steve's doing a bunch of good work. Mike, everybody is contributing to make sure we get your questions answered and help you with trades and everything else. On the same note, roster resolutions are now available again. Guys want us to do that? Totally an option. Just go to the website, portnonsense.com. Find all the good stuff there. And then, yeah. Guess, as always, good luck in week 7. And remember, keep up with the nonsense.